The first time I met Pastora Yolanda, we were meeting outside her mother-in-law's house on the western side of Barquisimeto, in a rural area, desert area, very hot, very dry. Her pastor, Yolanda was a local pastor. Her pastor introduced me to her and told me about their congregation. They had been meeting outside without shelter in this desert heat and sun for 5 years. They met in the yard in front of her mother-in-law's house, the place where we were standing for this first meeting. I asked the pastor how we could help Yolanda and this poor congregation, and he unrolled a set of plans. He said God had given him a vision in the middle of the night for what needed to be built on that site. And he brought out these blueprints. He was not an architect, but he had wonderful blueprints. And he said, this is what we hope to build here. Jane and I came home, and after some time of prayer and seeking direction, decided this would be a great place to build a sanctuary in honor of Jared, our son, and in memory of Ray, who'd been killed in the Value Jet crash in May of '96, returning from a mission trip to Venezuela. So we worked with Pastora Yolanda and her congregation, and the Lugar Altísimo United Methodist Church was built on the side adjacent to her mother-in-law's house. Yolanda was in the first class that attended seminary at the Wesleyan Seminary of Venezuela. She's a graduate of that seminary. She had had a profession as a social worker taking care of children in daycare centers, and had a passion for children. In her seminary work, she discovered that what she really wanted to do was not only pastor a church, but develop a ministry with the most abandoned and desperate children in Venezuela. So she began to work toward building a children's home on the property adjacent to the Lugar Altísimo Church. It took her 10 years to get the building built, but she stayed faithful to that task. And today, the Light of Hope Children's Home has been approved by the government. Children have been assigned, and as of the last conversation we had with Yolanda, she was simply waiting for those children to be released by the government into the children's home. What a great example of staying faithful in difficult circumstances, as her family has lived in what we would consider poverty in the United States, but have stayed faithful to the task of getting this home built for children who don't have a home and whose lives are far more desperate. It's a joy to be associated with people like Yolanda in Venezuela, who serve without remuneration, serve without support, serve without encouragement, except what God gives and what God supplies. And we're thankful to call her a friend and sister in the faith as she serves there in the Lugar Altísimo United Methodist Church.